Hello, and welcome to the Basic Understanding of Special Education Process in New Hampshire. My name is Heidi Dupre, and I'll be your guide as we move through this workshop. Parent Information Center is a statewide family organization that provides information and training to help families and the professionals that support them to work together more effectively. Parent Information Center is New Hampshire's designated parent training and information center funded by the Office of Special Education Programs at the U.S. Department of Education. The contents of this module were developed by the Parent Information Center, in full or in part, under the grant from the U.S. Department of Education. In this module, you will learn about the steps in the New Hampshire special education process, including your rights and responsibilities. We'll give you resources, tools, and strategies to help you become a more effective IEP team member and communicator. As a member of the IEP team, you bring a unique set of knowledge to the table. In order for you to be the most effective advocate for your child in the special education process, there are things you must know and learn about. It begins with knowing about and understanding your child's disability. You need to know who the key players on the IEP team are and their roles. You must learn about the special education process as well as your rights and responsibilities in it. And lastly, most importantly, you must know how to use clear, effective, proactive communication. In this module, I'll take you through each of these four must-knows. The first step being an effective advocate is knowing your child's disability. That does not mean that you are expected to have the expertise of a doctor or a specialist, but rather as a parent, you possess the most knowledge and insight on your child's likes, dislikes, personality, strengths, and needs. You're the most consistent member of the IEP team. Your child's teachers and special education providers will change each year. Understanding how your child's disability impacts their learning is critical so that you can advocate for their needs, help them at home and in their community. Our first instinct might be to Google a diagnosis or disability, but sometimes too much information makes it more difficult. Here at Parent Information Center, we can assist you in understanding the special education process and how to advocate for the appropriate services. We work together with a variety of agencies to help us do that. In looking for more information about your child's disability or diagnosis, a good place to begin may be with your child's pediatrician. They have a wealth of information and resources that can be shared to help you gain knowledge that you need. There are also some state and national organizations that have free resources on the various topics. The Center of Parent Information and Resources has a website with fact sheets covering a wide range of disabilities and other topics related to child development and education. The National Organization of Rare Disorders provides advocacy, education, and other services to improve the lives of people affected by rare diseases. New Hampshire Family Voices is a family organization that provides information and support to families and youth with special health care needs, including information on managing care, Medicaid, and Katie Beckett. In addition, they have a free lending library that specializes in children's books addressing special health, development, behavior, and physical needs. The National Alliance of Mental Health New Hampshire, or NAMI, also has a wealth of resources related to mental health and emotional disabilities. PIC can help you with one-on-one support over the phone to answer your questions and guide you to resources to navigate the special education process. But who else could help you? Could you ask a family member who knows your child well to attend an IEP meeting with you? The second piece of being an effective advocate is knowing the key players. It's critical for you to know who the members of the IEP team are, in their roles and responsibilities, so that you can work effectively with them. The IEP team is a group of individuals, primarily school personnel, service providers, and you, the parents, responsible for making all the special education decisions. The IEP team is responsible for determining eligibility for special education, developing, reviewing, or revising the IEP, and placement. When you attend any meeting in the special education process, you're participating as a member of the IEP team. When it comes to decision making in the special education process, the IEP team acts like a think tank. All decisions are made by the IEP team itself, which includes the family and the student when appropriate. This means everyone participates and everyone has a say. The IEP team meets at every step of the process, working together to determine whether or not a child has a disability and if he or she qualifies for special education services, and how most appropriately to meet the student's needs, and in fact, special education services are required. The members of the team include you, the parent, guardian, or in case when there is not a parent available for representing the child, an educational surrogate parent. A representative from the local education agency, also called the LEA representative. The LEA representative is the person from the school district who has the authority to commit resources to your child's IEP. Their signature, along with yours, is required on the IEP. This person differs from each school or district. Sometimes it's a principal, special education case manager, or the special education director. If you're unsure who it is, just ask. Not less than one regular education teacher of your child, and no less than one special education teacher or service provider. It's important to know that not all your child's teachers or service providers are required to attend IEP meetings. And as a matter of fact, team members may vary depending on the purpose of the meeting. This is especially true in middle and high school. Other members of the IEP team include individuals who can interpret instruction implications of evaluation results. This means a person who can explain the evaluation information and results to tell us about your child's learning needs and strengths. Your child, when and if appropriate. Family or school may invite other people to the meeting as well. This may be a behavioral therapist, a school psychologist, an outside therapist, a service provider. PIC always suggests that parents bring another person, a friend or a family member, to just have another set of ears at the meeting. It's important to know that the people can represent more than one role at an IEP meeting. For instance, your special education case manager may also be the special education teacher or the person who can interpret the instruction implications of the evaluation results. Now that we've discussed the key players, let's talk about the next must-knows. To be an effective advocate for your child, you must learn about the special education process and your rights and responsibilities. By learning more about the process and being able to participate more effectively in the IEP meetings and make more informed decisions for your child. As a parent, you have important rights and responsibilities in the special education process. Some of these include the right to participate in all IEP meetings as a team member. If you are unable to physically attend an IEP meeting, this could mean by calling in by phone or participating by Zoom. You have the right to receive information in a way that is understandable to you. If a parent has limited knowledge of English, they have the right to request an interpreter or translator for the IEP team. Parents also have the right to request an IEP team meeting at any time. It's important to know that the request must be in writing and the school has 21 days to schedule your meeting or notify in writing about why they will not or cannot meet. Parents have the right to be informed in writing 10 days ahead of an IEP meeting. This notice must include who has been invited and the meeting purpose. You and your child have the right to confidentiality at all steps of the special education process. Your child's personal information and their privacy must be protected. You also have the right to access your child's educational records under Family Educational Rights Privacy Act, also known as FERPA. You have the right to give, refuse, or revoke your consent or permission at any time of the special education process. And finally, you have the right to written prior notice, WPN. WPN is a written document of specific information to help family make informed decisions. We'll talk more about written prior notice later in this module. Now let's turn our attention to the steps in the special education process. New Hampshire lays out the specific steps and timelines in the special education process. It begins when your child is first suspected of having a disability, followed up by referral, evaluations, determining eligibility, developing and improving the individual education program, also known as the IEP, placement, and ongoing monitoring of the IEP. Let's look at each of these steps in more detail. If a parent suspects their child has an educational disability and requires special education, a referral should be made. A referral is a formal request for asking that a child be evaluated to see if they're eligible for special education. PICA recommends that a referral be made in writing, sent a copy to the principal and the special education director or coordinator, and that a parent keeps a copy for themselves. You can find a sample referral letter in the resource section of PIC's website. Within 15 days from the district receiving the referral, parent must be invited to attend the IEP meeting. This initial meeting is to address the referral, which is called the disposition of referral meeting. At this meeting, the IEP team, which includes you, the parent, will meet and review all the available information about your child. This includes report cards, any standardized tests your child may have taken, input from you and your child's teachers. You should bring samples of your child's schoolwork and reports, including any medical information that supports your concerns. The IEP team will make decisions about what to do with a referral for special education. To do this, the IEP team will first discuss whether your child needs can be met through regular educational services available to all students, or if evaluation is needed to determine eligibility. At the decision of referral meeting, the IEP team may decide that they do not suspect that your child has an educational disability that requires specialized education and that there are regular educational supports that are available to support them. They may also determine that your child has a disability but does not require special education, and instead proposes that the team look into the eligibility under 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. For more information on Section 504, please visit PIC's website. Or the IEP team may determine they need to conduct more evaluations to determine whether or not your child is eligible for special education. Regardless of what the IEP team's decision of the disposition or referral meeting, the district must provide you with written prior notice. Written prior notice is specific information in writing that explains how the IEP team came to the decision and what information they based this was the basis for making this choice. Written prior notice will tell you the action the IEP team is proposing or refusing, the reasons that they are proposing or refusing something, the documents or other information that the decision was based on, other options the IEP team considered, the reasons why the other options were not chosen, any other factors discussed by the IEP team, and a statement that you were provided with procedural safeguards or written documentation of your rights in the special education process. You'll be provided written prior notice at every step of the special education process, including evaluation, eligibility, the IEP, and placement. You'll have 14 calendar days to decide about the proposals documented in the written prior notice and provide you written consent or refusal. This means you can tell the school that you would like to think about what information has been given to you before you sign anything. Feel free to use some or all of the 14 days to make a decision. You should never feel pressured into signing anything right away. You may agree with the proposal, agree with specific conditions, or disagree. Later on, we'll talk about what you do if you disagree with the proposal of the written prior notice. At the decision of referral meeting, the IEP team proposes testing or evaluations are necessary to determine if your child is eligible for special education and to better understand the educational needs of your child. You'll be asked for your written consent or permission. This permission form includes what kind of tests that your child will be given. Once the IEP team has your permission to test your child, they have 60 calendar days, which includes holidays, weekends, school vacations, and even summer, to complete the evaluations and hold the meeting to discuss the test results and determine eligibility for special education. The district must send you copies of the evaluation reports in the mail at least 5 days before the IEP meeting. You can agree in writing to receive these reports via email. The evaluation has two purposes. One, to help the IEP team determine eligibility, and second, if eligible, to help the IEP team determine what supports and services are necessary. In New Hampshire, there are a great deal of requirements regarding evaluation. Here are a few of the most important to know. When conducting an evaluation, it is necessary to examine all areas that are impacted by your child's suspected disability, not just the academic piece. This may include health, hearing, vision, social, and emotional status, including behavioral needs, general intelligence, academic performance, communication, motor abilities, daily living skills, vocational needs, and if needed, excessive assistive technology. The evaluations must gather information about your child's present levels of function, development, and academic performance, identifying all areas of strength and concern. Evaluations must be administered by a certified and licensed personnel and be in a language and form that yields accurate results. Once the evaluations are completed, the IEP team must meet to review the results and determine if your child is eligible for special education. Eligibility for special education starts as young as 3 and continues up until the day before the child's 22nd birthday, as long as they have not earned a regular high school diploma. To be eligible, it must be determined that your child has an educational disability because that disability requires specialized instruction. This means that your child's disability must negatively impact their education and functional performance. Not all children are eligible for special education. Not all disabilities require specialized instruction. As discussed earlier, regardless of the eligibility decision, written prior notice must be given to explain why and how the decision about eligibility was made. For more information on what to do if you disagree with your child's eligibility determination, please contact Parent Information Center. If your child has been found eligible for special education, they will be identified under one or more of the 14 categories, sometimes referred to as a code. The disability categories are intellectual disability, autism, speech and language impairment, visual impairment including blindness, emotional disturbance, orthopedic impairment, traumatic brain injury including acquired brain injury, other health impairment, multiple disabilities, deafness, hearing impaired, developmentally delayed, and specific learning disability. These categories are broad categories, and your child's diagnosis may not be listed here. For example, a child who has ADHD may be found eligible under the category of other health impairment. A child who has dyslexia may be found eligible under the category of specific learning disability. It's important to know that having a diagnosis does not automatically qualify a child for special education. To qualify, your child's disability must negatively impact their educational performance, including functional performance, and require specialized instruction. There are some categories of eligibility that do require medical diagnosis for eligibility considerations under specific categories, such as other health impairment. More importantly, your child's disability category of code does not impact the type or amounts of special education services or related services your child will receive, meaning that your child does not have to be coded as having speech and language impairment to receive speech and language services. Your child who is coded with specific learning disability may require speech and language services to help them with language processing difficulties. Types and amounts of services are determined by the individual needs of your child. Same holds true with placement or where the child's services will be delivered. After your child is determined eligible for special education, the IEP team meets again, this time to develop a plan to address your child's educational needs. This plan is called an Individual Education Program, an IEP. The IEP team meets to begin developing your child's IEP within 30 days of determining eligibility. The IEP is the written document that describes the special education, related services, accommodations, and modifications that your child requires to receive a free and appropriate public education, or FAPE. The IEP should be written clearly so that you, your child's teachers, service providers understand your child's goals and the services to be provided. School staff may come to the IEP meeting with a draft, but it's important to remember it's just a draft and that all IEP team members, including you, the parent, have input into the IEP. The IEP is required to have many components that lay out the supports and services necessary for your child to receive a free and appropriate public education. We're going to cover a few of these components of the IEP. The IEP includes a description of the parent's concerns for their child's education. This section is a chance for you to document what you want your child to learn or be able to do over the next IEP period. Additionally, the IEP will document your child's present levels of academic, functional, and developmental performance, where they are performing right now. This establishes a starting point or a baseline. The IEP will include measurable annual goals in all areas of needs, such as reading, math, or social skills. These are what we expect your child to be able to do by the end of the year. The goals will also include short-term objectives or benchmarks that give more details on how they'll achieve these goals. For each goal of the IEP will state how your child's progress will be measured and how and when you will be informed of your child's progress towards the annual goals. The IEP will also include your child's special education and related services such as physical or occupational therapy and amounts of services and who will provide it. When the IEP team has written the IEP, you will receive a written prior notice with the proposed IEP. Your signature and the LEA's representative signatures are required to implement the IEP. You may provide consent, agree, provide partial consent, meaning that you agree with portions of the IEP, but not with others. You must document what parts you do not provide consent for, and the school must implement the pieces you agree to and meet with you to resolve the other parts. You may also ask for another meeting to discuss the concerns before you make a decision. And lastly, you have the right to refuse consent to the IEP or request alternate dispute resolution procedures if you do not agree. Please contact Parent Information Center on Special Education for more information if you're considering disagreeing, accessing mediation, neutral conference, or new process. After the IEP is signed by you and the LEA representative, the IEP must determine the appropriate placement, meaning where your child will be educated. Placement occurs in the least restrictive environment, the LRE. The LRE means that your child must be educated with his or her peers in a regular education classroom in the school where your child would attend if she or he did not have a disability, and removed from that setting only if the IEP team determines that your child's needs cannot be met in that setting, even with added supports for your child and his or her teachers. If your child needs a different setting, the IEP team may choose from a continuum of placements. In any case, the IEP team, which you are a part of, makes this important decision after the IEP has been signed. And once again, you'll be given a written prior notice and ask for consent on placement. The last step in the special education process is monitoring. Monitoring is very important. It evaluates the effectiveness of the child's instruction and informs you of your child's progress. In addition to monitoring each one of your child's goals, there are other requirements the IEP team must meet. These include reviewing and revising the IEP annually to ensure that it meets your child's needs, reevaluating your child at least once every 3 years, more often if the teachers or parents request it, reevaluating Prior to discontinuing child special education services, this means your child cannot be discharged from special education services unless they have been fully reevaluated and found no longer eligible. Remember that you or any IEP team member who has concerns about your child's progress or who believes the changes need to be made to the IEP may request the IEP team meeting at any time. It's important to schedule meetings when you have concerns. Don't wait. Working together as a team and keeping the lines of communication open between you and the school will help your child succeed in school. It's important for you to know about the special education process and how to be an effective member of your child's IEP team. Now that you have a better understanding about the steps in the special education process, let's turn our attention to effective communication and the importance of using these skills in your IEP meeting. When working with your IEP team, it's important to remember that the needs of the child come first, not the services. When the IEP team uses data and facts instead of opinions, wise decisions are made. Many parents find it helpful to make a list of your questions or concerns you want to discuss before the meeting. Be prepared to solve problems together, bring ideas and solutions. Your IEP team wants to work with you in supporting your child's needs. Sometimes it's hard to know what to ask. Here's a few ideas. How will I know my child is making progress? Who is responsible in ensuring that my child reaches all of their goals in their IEP? How can we regularly communicate about my child, how they're doing? You should feel comfortable about asking questions and inquiring about your child's progress. This is one way you can be sure that you're well informed and that the school is aware of your concerns. Prior to your IEP meeting, think about what hopes you have to accomplish and focus on your goal. Sometimes creating an agenda can be helpful. It will help you to stay on track. When it's time to discuss, show respect and expect it from others. Be an active listener. Active listening involves a conscious effort of understanding what others are saying and providing feedback to the speaker, acknowledging that you truly hear them. This can be easily accomplished by looking at the person who is talking, nodding your head in acknowledgement that you are listening, repeating what is said to show that you are understanding them, and by rephrasing or asking questions to clarify what you don't understand. Be mindful of your emotional pressure gauge as you work with your team. Keep your thoughts of past, present, worst fears, other negatives from creeping into your mind. Focus positively on your goals and believe in collaboration. And finally, say thank you. If someone has been particularly helpful, acknowledge their efforts. It's helpful and motivating to end your meeting on a positive note, acknowledging what's gone well and how hard everyone has worked. There's a saying at PIC, if it's not in writing, it didn't happen. Letter writing is an essential communication tool. Be mindful that a written letter is different than from an email. Since emails are used commonly today and special education case managers can receive up to 50 emails a day, it's recommended that you take the time to write a letter instead of an email for any issues that require IEP teams to meet. For instance, letters should be used to make a request for an IEP meeting, when asking for clarification on an issue or to clarify something that you or a team member has said. Also, letters should be used to document verbal discussions and to amend meeting minutes. Letters should be sent via US mail or dropped off at the school. Letters to be sent to the person who can make a change, such as a special education case manager or principal. Make sure you date your letters and keep it to one page and cover one or two issues, including your contact information, and set a deadline if there's a reply requested. And finally, remember to keep a copy for yourself. Thank you for viewing this online module. This training was provided information on understanding the special education process by examining 4 key points. Remember that both you and the IEP team have the same goal, to provide appropriate services for your child so he or she will be successful in school and life. You have a unique opportunity as a partner in this process to work with your IEP team to share your visions and goals. You and your school each have your own role and share authority and responsibility to work together to support your child's education. If you have any questions or need support, please call our office and speak with an educational specialist or use the contact feature on our website and someone will get back to you. We ask that you help us ensure the quality of our training by taking a short online evaluation. Please click this link. Thank you.